In this video, we're going to be talking about addiction as a symptom, not a disease. In the well-accepted field, the most well-accepted idea is that addiction is a disease, and we've been treating it as a disease for quite a while in the world of rehabilitation, and it hasn't been working. And I'm going to explain to you why it hasn't been working. Because we've been treating for a disease when in reality addiction is a symptom, and we need to start treating it like a symptom. So I want you to kind of take a step outside yourself for a second. And I'm going to explain a situation to you. It's a fictional situation, so bear with me, but maybe this will help you see kind of the concept behind the idea that addiction is a symptom, not a disease. So, imagine an alien traveling planet to planet, finding sentient species and civilizations and studying them and taking notes and cataloging everything, and he's watching a particular planet, and he notices that addiction starts to crop up in these societies on this planet. And he remembers in his intergalactic studies, college, university, or whatever, he remembers that when addiction starts to enter and become a problem in a society, it is a symptom of a larger socio-economic disease, of larger problems in that society. And so to him, to this alien going planet to planet, when he sees addiction cropping up, he goes, they're having some issues with their politics, they're having issues with their schooling, they're having issues with their laws, they're having issues with different units in themselves. So that's kind of how I see addiction. I see addiction as a glaring red flag that tells us that there is a larger problem. It is a symptom that is telling me that we have some serious problems that we need to deal with. Okay, now how I want you to see this is I want you to look at our world, look at our human, our human societies, and as a collective human organism. I want you to see the world, and I want you to see the interactions between people and the little units of people and little areas of, different gatherings of people. And I want you to see this entire functioning organism. I want you to see this collective human organism, this consciousness that all works together. Even though we're individual people, the problems in our societies have an effect on us on an individual level. And that's what addiction is. It is a symptom of the larger problem. So, think of it in units. Think of how our world has been running for, since we've existed. We started off in tribes, little tribal units, and every unit that we have, every functioning unit of humans is a hierarchical unit of power. Okay? And that's how we've always been, that's how we'll always be. Well, maybe not how it will always be. Hopefully we'll figure something else out in the future, some great utopian thing a couple thousand years from now. But so, take a look at all these little groups. We have church groups, we have governments, we have nations, we've got, even soccer teams and basketball teams. We have these groups that are little units of humans, and they're all hierarchically based, and they're all power structures, okay? Now, when we see a problem in a power structure, it affects the entire group. I want you to take a look at a family, picture a little family, mom and a dad, a few kids, and picture an abusive husband, okay? Or an abusive child, maybe even the wife's abusive, okay? Just picture an abusive problem in a family. That doesn't just affect the abuser, and it doesn't affect the abusee, it affects the entire family. Even if it's between two people, even if there's two people that are going at each other, it affects the entire unit. And that is what we are seeing with addiction. All these little auxiliary problems that we're having are a direct result of a mismanaged government, of a horrible idea called the war on drugs, and of our economic status and of greed. These are all interrelated. So we see the world and we are all connected. Every single human being is affected by almost everybody that they're a member of their group. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that's, connected to anybody else feels the effect of anything stupid anybody else does. Now, because we have economic problems, we've got the Federal Reserve doing their little ridiculous stunts. We have all these large banks and all these bailouts, and we've got government problems. We've got laws that are implemented because of fear rather than on actual facts. We've got the war on drugs. We've got drugs being criminalized, when in fact we should probably focus on the other side of the coin rather than making things criminal, because I'll talk about this in another video, but let me wrap this up. So what happens within this structure? We've got all these massive problems, okay? And we've got two major things that affect us from a society. The first major thing is a forced idea or ideal that is fortified by repetition. So commercials, advertisements, they're forced ideas fortified by repetition. We've got people that grow up in abusive households where they're constantly told that they're no good or that they're not smart, and those are also ideas that are fortified by repetition. Okay, and you have to realize that when you have something implanted into your mind, fortified by repetition over years and years and years and years, you begin to believe it, and you actually become that. Okay, if you're told you're stupid over and over and over again for years on end, you will become stupid. There are studies out there, a plethora of studies that show that show the conclusive evidence of that. And the second major element that will have an effect on how you perceive the world and how you respond to the world. So the first one is forced ideas fortified by repetition. The second one is traumatic events. Rape, somebody died, murder in front of you, being called to war, watching your friends die in front of you. Traumatic events have a massive impact on how you deal with the world, how you perceive the world, and how you react to the world. And these two elements are two of the major causes of addiction. Okay? So what we need to do is we need to realize that this human organism, this collective human organism, okay, it's like this, and we're right here, and what we want to do is we want to transcend the collective human organism. This is a diseased organism full of chaos and evil and greed and hate and fear, and that is the world we're living in, okay, and that is affecting everybody in it. What we need to do is find a way to transcend that, to separate ourselves from that organism and become our own functioning organism. Obviously, you can't do it all the way. You still need to go to work and have a job. I mean, I guess you can, have a garden and everything, but the point is to minimize your bonds, your negative bonds. You can have positive bonds. Minimize your negative bonds to this diseased collective human organism. And there are two ways to do that. Actually, there's one way to do that, but two methods to get there. The first way, or the way to do that, is to transcend the ego, man. You've got to transcend the level of zombie consciousness that the rest of the world is functioning on. You've got to get to that next level. And the only way to do that is to interface with your subconscious mind. Okay, remember the forced ideas fortified with repetition? You've got to identify those and assess them. And then you've got to resolve them, whether they're true or not, whether they have an impact on you or not, whether they have something to do with your addiction or not. And then you need to release them if they are in fact negative, okay? Traumatic events are the same way. You need to interface with your subconscious mind, identify the issues that are caused by traumatic events in your life, resolve the issue, and let them go. Once you do that, your negative bonds to the collective human organism will be broken, and you will be able to transcend that organism, and you will literally be free of the symptom known as addiction. So that is addiction, a symptom, not a disease, in a nutshell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave something in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.